All right. We are 1 minute after the hour, and we have Miss Heather Larou. I hope I said that correctly.
Yes.
With Mutual of Omaha. It's going to go over some key processes and product knowledge information and answer some questions for you guys tonight, in hopes of helping you guys further utilize this carrier in your sales practices. For me personally, it's a very, very simple system. I love the underwriting, and you guys just added the pre-approval feature, which has been incredible for me. Just again using it on a personal level. But I won't take too much of your time. Kind of with an introduction. I want to turn the call over to you and kind of let you get going and do what you do. Again, your time is not going to be wasted. I know time is important. It's the one thing that we spend every day and we can't get it back. So I want to make the most of it. So without further ado, guys, Miss Heather LaRue.
Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for the warm introduction. So, like you said, I'm Heather LaRue. I am one of the sales directors that really myself and my partner, Dylan Cummings, we only support Family First Life. That's the only account that we have. So we are, but we stay plenty busy. So a little bit about me and my background. So I joined Mutual of Omaha almost 9 years ago. I'm coming up on 9 years. I've worked in several different areas of the company. So I've worked in claims. I've worked on the captive side with new captive agents that can only sell Mutual of Omaha. And then about a year and a half ago, I came over to the brokerage side, and I would never go back. I love it over here. It's so much fun, and there's we're helping a lot of people with all of the work that you do. We're really helping families. So let me, hopefully we don't have any issues here. Let me share my screen. All right, you guys see my PowerPoint?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, well, let's rock and roll. So we're just going to do a brief introduction into Mutual of Omaha today. And I kind of cut this down because this PowerPoint typically it goes over all of our products, and that's a lot of information to retain. So I really wanted to give you guys some more in-depth view on kind of two of our more popular simplified issued products, but really want to talk about, why do business with us? Hold on, maybe do I have the right PowerPoint up is my question. Give me a second here. No, I don't. Pause for that. All right, let's go back here. Let me get back here, give you the right PowerPoint here. All right, so let's get into this. So your sales directors, you have, oh, and I didn't share it, did I? Oh man. There we go. We'll get on this. All right, so like I said, your sales directors are myself and Dylan Cummings. You also may see if communication goes out, you may see the name Josh Morehouse. Josh Morehouse is the glue that keeps Dylan and I on track. So he's another support person to you. Dylan and I travel probably 70 to 80% of the time. So we're always on the road. So he's kind of our backbone that is at the home office that kind of keeps us all together. So those are going to be three names that you'll probably see or hear about often. So first of all, I want to talk about why do business with Mutual of Omaha? What sets us apart from the others, from a carrier standpoint, not just from product. So really brand recognition. If you tell somebody Mutual of Omaha, nine times out of 10, they're going to know who you're talking about. And sometimes brand recognition is more important than the specific product, more important of the premium price. They're looking for a company that has been around for over 100 years that delivers on their promises. And that's Mutual of Omaha. We're strong, we're stable, we've been secure for well over 100 years. So, we've built our products to last, to make sure that we can deliver on our promises. We have a dedicated team. So while you have Dylan and I and Josh, you also have a dedicated call support team that you can call into with any kind of needs, whether it be underwriting support, or if you need help with an illustration, or you just have some random question and you're like, I don't know, I should call in. You've got a dedicated team that you can call into, and I'll pop up a screen with all of their contact information if you want to screenshot it so you have it. But you've got those dedicated people. And from what I hear, and I know I'm a little biased because I'm with Mutual of Omaha, but from what I hear from being out in the field so much is that, Mutual of Omaha's customer service is top notch. We've got a great simplified issued product portfolio. And we're strong, and we're in the strong, simplified, fast underwriting that we're constantly making better. Josh kind of alluded to it. I'm going to talk about it a little bit later too, about our prequal that we just brought out, which has been a game changer. Again, when you're looking for a strong company, we're rated the second highest on AM Best, A plus Superior, A1 on Moody Investors, and A plus on the S&P Global. So it's not just one person that's saying Mutual of Omaha is a great company to work with. It's not me standing up here saying that we're this great company. There's many people that support that Mutual of Omaha is a top tier company to work with. So like I said, I don't know if you guys want to snap a picture, and Josh is recording this so you will get it. These are the numbers to the support team. So like I said, you've got sales support. So these are going to be any kind of small random questions that you have. If you need help with an illustration, if you want to order or customize materials to send out, you can reach out to our sales support, or you can give them an email as well. They're kind of the catch-all. But then say you've got a case in the works and something's not, it didn't go through instant decision. Maybe you're working in the fully underwritten space. You can get case status, you can have field underwriting. We also have a risk assessment team. If you call that number, if you call the underwriting number, say you've got a case and you're like, I don't know, like this, I know a little bit about the client. They've told me some issues. They're not sure. You can call our underwriting team and kind of do like a pre-screen. In addition to the prequal that we have built in, and say, hey, I've got this client. They're 65 years old. They're on these medications. I'm just not sure. What would your thoughts? And they'll kind of walk you through it. So it's a great resource. And then customer service. So this is going to be stuff for after the policy issues. So maybe you have a person who missed a payment, you need to start payments back up, or they have a question about their a policy. You and your clients can reach out to our customer service line. So as you can see, you've got a dedicated team, not just with Dylan, Josh, and myself, but with the different teams that we have set up just for you guys. So now I'm going to dive into product. So like I said, we have a vast simplified issue portfolio. It is strong. It really has something to offer anybody that you may be working with. So we have an IUL Express, which a Term Life Express, Living Promise, which is going to be your final expense. You'll hear us use that interchangeably. Children's Whole Life. And then on the health side, I don't know if you guys are health licensed or you do a ton of health, but we have our Guaranteed Advantage and our Critical Advantage portfolio as well. For the sake of this call, I really wanted to focus on our IUL Express and our final expense, because those are the most popular products, the things that I see being sold pretty consistently across all of kind of the accounts, but especially in your distribution. So I really wanted to highlight those and go over those. And then you guys, we can always have another call like this at a later time if we want to dive into more. But really, I really want to talk about the Index Universal Life Express product, because that's a hot topic right now. It's all over TikTok. It's all over Instagram, sell IULs, 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 which they're great. I love a good IUL, but it is very, very important to understand the IUL that you sell compared to other products that you may offer. So just to highlight our Index Universal Life Express is it provides coverage beyond a no lapse period, which means, we've got our no lapse coverage, which means if you pay, depending on your age, either 20 years or up to age 80, as long as you pay the minimum premium, the policy will stay in force for that time. But as long as you're paying above that minimum premium, as long as the market performs. But even then, our product is built to weather the storm, even if the market performs at 0% or negatively for an extended period of time. So we provide coverage beyond the no lapse period. It's flexibility for the future, and coverage is quick with limited health inquiries. So they're not going to need a paramed. We're not going to ask for blood. We're not going to ask for urine. So it really is quick and easy. So a little bit about our Index Universal Life product. So there are 2 risk class. Makes it easy. There's standard non-tobacco and standard tobacco. Depending on their age, depends on face amount. So anyone 18 to 50 can go up to 300,000, ages 51 to 60 up to 250, and ages 61 and older up to 150,000. And then you have the ability to do the index. We have 4 different indexing strategies. So you have your high participation rate, your 100% participation rate, your lower participation rate, and then our newest one that we released about a year ago, which is the Bank of America Agility Index. Guys, there's no right or wrong way. If you go with the easy solve route, which majority of our cases do, they go with the 100 participation rate. The Bank of America Agility has a little bit more volatility. So people that like the constantly changing of the market, that might be an option for them. But there's no right or wrong way, just kind of based on what their risk they want to take into it. But the great thing is that zero is your hero. You're never going to have a negative impact. So even if, the S&P goes down to, 5 points, zero is your hero. You're never going to go negative. And that's important to know for something we're going to talk about in a little bit. Because while zero is your hero, there are other things that, zero can be your hero, but you can still have negative impacts. So with our simplified underwriting, as you can see on here, we're going to go off of the build chart, which can be found in the underwriting guide. We go MIB, pharmaceutical check, motor vehicle, and then phone interviews as needed. The great thing, again, is we have our pre-qual. So our pre-qual is going to run the med data and the prescription check on the front end. So we're going to have a good idea whether they potentially will be approved or not. Now, it's not a guarantee, but it is a very good indicator. And again, we'll talk a little bit more about that. Built into our IUL Express product. So this is already built into the cost of insurance, which Mutual of Omaha has the cheapest cost of insurance out there. These are already built into it. So living benefit rider, which is terminal, chronic, or critical illness, which means that they can accelerate in certain situations, can accelerate up to 80% of their face value, which is huge. If someone is told that, they've only got, they get a terminal illness, they only have 6 months left to live, and they could really use those funds for something right now. Maybe it's just for palliative treatment or things like that. They have the ability to advance up to 80%. And then they still have a little bit left for a death benefit. So it's great. It's not available in every state, but in a majority of states, it's the living benefits rider. Waiver of surrender charges for partial withdrawal riders. So I like to explain this because I've had people say, oh, the waiver of surrender charges. So it's only for partial withdrawal. So if you're partially withdrawing some of the funds early on, we're going to waive those surrender charges. We have guaranteed insurability rider and the lapse guard rider built into that. That's that lapse guard rider is protecting you either for the first 20 years or to age 80, as long as you're paying the minimum premiums. Already built in. But on top of that, we like to offer some additional things. So there are some additional things that you can add to your IUL Express, which is the accidental death benefit. You don't have to have a health license to add on accidental death, but you do have to have a health license for the standalone product, just so you're aware of that, which means that you can add an additional face. So say you have $100,000 in your IUL as your face amount, you can also add up to $100,000 in an accidental death benefit lumped into that. So should you die in like a plane, train, automobile accident, you would get that as well. Disability continuation of planned premium. So if you are unable to work, I believe for 90 days, we'll continue that planned premium for you until you're able to do that. Disability waiver of policy charges, and you can also add a dependent child onto that for $5,000 or $10,000 worth of coverage. So this is great when you've got someone that maybe they want some coverage on their child, but it's a lot to keep track if you've got a children's whole life over here and an IUL over here and a term over here. It's a nice way to kind of lump it into one. So again, those vary by state, so I'd refer you to the underwriting guide, but these are ones that have an additional cost that you can add to our IUL Express. So I want to talk about, because there's a lot of big misconceptions and bad information out there on social media and on the internet. So our IUL Express was built to be as simple as possible, because you have to go and explain this to a client that has no idea what they're talking about when it comes to insurance. You're the expert into it. So, I want to make sure that you guys understand it, and we built this so that the client can understand it, because the more complex things get, the more people get nervous about it. And again, we want sticky business. You want sticky business. You don't want chargebacks. So the better you can explain how the IUL Express works, the better for you. So with the IUL Express, your client has a monthly premium. That's what you run through the quote system, through the quotes app or in WinFlex, you get quoted a premium. Now that premium kind of has two buckets built into it. So you've got one part that pays for, the cost of insurance, the fees, those kind of things. The rest of that goes into the other bucket, which is your accumulation bucket. That's the part that goes and builds cash value. Then that cash value bucket either goes into a fixed account, which I don't think really anybody uses fixed accounts because they're not as beneficial. And then the other goes into the index crediting strategy bucket. But let me be clear, it's not going into the market. There's no risk that your client is going to lose money in the market because it's not invested there. It's just a strategy that we use. So that bucket for your cost of insurance, your fees, policy charges, things like that, it's very important to know how much of your client's premium is actually going towards the cost of insurance and how much is going into their accumulation value, especially if you're selling this for, replacement income, retirement planning, because the more money, so someone can have a cheaper premium than Mutual of Omaha, and it's not going to perform like Mutual of Omaha. So this is a good kind of slide. I like to look at this. So it's looking at the competitor versus Mutual of Omaha. We all know who the competitor is. So, if you look at the cumulative premiums, yes, our competitor in most instances, yeah, they're a little bit cheaper, not significantly, but they're a little bit cheaper than us. But when you look at the cumulative charges, which is cost of insurance, things like that, Mutual of Omaha is always significantly cheaper. So while they might have cheaper premiums, they're keeping more of that and less is going into that cash accumulation bucket. So when you look at these, cumulative charges, 11,000, theirs was 12,000, even though they're collecting less premium. So percentage of premium towards the accumulation value. If you're talking to your client and you're trying to plan what's best for them and their financial security, do you want 50% of the premiums going towards their accumulation, their cash growth, or do you want 27? And that's just after 20 years. When you look at after 40 years, when the cost is your client gets older and the cost of insurance gets higher, they're pulling from that cash accumulation a lot sooner than what Mutual of Omaha is. So it's really important when you're looking and comparing IULs to look at, what are the cost of insurance differences? Is it worth the risk? Because Mutual of Omaha, on our easy solve, it is built out, which means that's kind of like the Goldilocks is what kind of my partner and I call it. It's kind of built for everyone. It's built to go out to age 120. I don't know about you, but I don't want to live till age 120. But it's built to last that long, weathering market storms. So it's built to last. And Mutual of Omaha will always illustrate on the conservative side. That's how we are as a company, just because we want to make sure that we can deliver on all of the death benefits for people with life insurance with Mutual of Omaha. So we'll always be more, but our competitors are illustrating like 2% higher than what we are, and we're still outperforming them. So it's really important to understand how those things work. I know it can be easy to say like, oh, well, my client just wants the cheapest premium. I can get them this. It's the same face amount, but it's $10 cheaper. That's where you guys come in and your expertise can come in and you can explain, yeah, this is a little bit cheaper of a product, but this is how this one can perform for $10 more, and has the ability to return more for them. So those are really important things to look at, not just with Mutual of Omaha and our, look at all of the competitors out there that have IUL products. It's really kind of important. And Mutual of Omaha, to my knowledge, is the only company that has never raised their cost of insurance, which means we're building our products right, which is really important. So any question, before I kind of move on, any questions about our IUL Express product?
Yeah, hi, my name is Tyson. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I
I'm
can. Hi,
driving,
Tyson.
so yeah. But anyway, I have a couple of questions. Actually, just so that I can explain this correctly to my client, so when you said no lapse until, what does that exactly mean? My question is it safe to say that your IUL is a permanent product, or what happens after that period of no lapse?
So
How can I how Mhm.
that no lapse protection is based off of them paying the minimum premium. So
Right.
let me tell you guys a little secret. You should never have your clients building an IUL where they're paying the minimum premium, because that's just going to keep it afloat. If you are going the easy solve route, which majority of people do that with the IUL Express, it is built to be above it's above target premium, so that way it's covering the market. Again, you can't, it's built to be permanent coverage, but again, nobody can predict the market. So like if you've ever looked at an illustration, Tyson, that first column that you look at, that's worst case scenario. So that is if the market does 0% for 20, 30 years. Even at our midpoint, at that midpoint, which is again very, very conservative, based off of, because we're basing those numbers off of the last 27 years. So it captures a really good fluctuation of how the market will or will not perform. But that easy solve is built to go to H120 with a very conservative illustration point. But yeah, so that no lapse protection is simply if you pay the minimum premium to keep the policy afloat and you don't pay a penny more, that means nothing's going into, very little is going into that accumulation value. And that accumulation value also helps keep the premiums the same for the life of the policy, because when you're 70 years old, the cost of insurance are much, much higher than when you buy a policy at 30 years old. So rather than increasing premiums, we use that cash accumulation value to keep those premiums the same. Does that make sense?
Yes, kind of. I think I understand now. So just to conclude that, so you're saying it, as long as you choose the easy solve, it's already built to last until 120 years old.
Yes. Yep. We've built it out to, again, it's kind of like the Goldilocks. It's kind of built for everyone. And so we've built it really based off of, and you can build it differently, and that could be another, Tyson, if you've got people that want to do things a little bit differently, or anybody, like maybe they want to do like an increasing death benefit or different things like that, we can build those specialty to your client. But yes, that easy solve is really kind of built to weather the storm up to age 120.
Gotcha, gotcha. And what is the market cap on the product, on the IUL?
Depends on the indexing strategy. I don't have those right offhand with me, but I can send those over to you, Tyson.
Okay, thank you. That's all what I wanted to know. Thank you. I don't want to take up too much time.
No, you're fine. Yep, depends on the strategy. Good
Okay,
questions.
thank you.
All right. Well, if anybody has any other questions too, we can put my email in the chat too when I'm done, so that way you guys have my contact information and we can touch base if you're thinking, I don't know about you guys, but at like 3 o'clock in the morning, sometimes I can't sleep and I have insurance questions that float in my head. That way you can, if you've got any of those questions that come up over the next few days as you're kind of letting this stuff noodle into your head, you can definitely reach out to me. So the second product I wanted to talk about was our Living Promise, so our final expense product. So we offer two plans. We've got the level benefit and our graded benefit. Our level benefit is from 2,000 up to 50,000, and then our graded benefit is 2,000 up to 20,000. Now, when you're filling out these applications, you're going to fill it out for level for anyone. For everyone, you start as level, and the application and the underwriting will tell you if it's going to be level or graded, which is kind of nice that it's kind of 2-in-1, especially with our built-in pre-qual. Again, it's standard tobacco, no non-tobacco for level, and then for graded, it's just standard across the board. There's no tobacco rating. For this one, there's not as many writers, but again, the Living Promise it's just for that. It's not meant for, building, cash accumulation. It really is for final expenses, final medical bills, funeral costs, those kind of things. So not as many built-in writers, but that's also help with the affordability of the product. Because typically, you're not having some 30-year-old reach out to you for final expense. It's typically, 50 and older that are reaching out. And those costs of insurance are typically higher at that point because we've all lived life. We've all had some medical issues usually by that point. So the cost riders is the accidental death benefit rider. And then the no cost built-in rider is the accelerated death benefit for terminal illness or nursing home confinement. So what are the living benefits to having that final expense, that Living Promise? So, things that people are benefit from it's a tax-free death benefit. So that money that, whether it's 2,000 or it's 50,000 is going to go to your beneficiary tax-free. That's really nice. There's not going to be a tax burden to them. You have a one-time election to accelerate the death benefit while living. Similar to like what we talked about with the IUL Express, if you're diagnosed of having a terminal illness, a 12-month life expectancy or less, you're confined to a nursing home for 90 consecutive days and not expected to leave that facility. You can call in and you can request to accelerate that benefit. I believe 80% with this one as well. Again, and that's added to all level benefits. So these are for the level benefit plan. There's not as many bells and whistles when it comes to the graded because typically there's some health problems there. So additional death benefit equal to the face amount if caused by accident, bodily injury from independent causes. So Living Promise underwriting guide, they make it pretty easy. They've got the pre-qual built into it, but the application tells you basically. So there's 2 question sections to our Living Promise application, and if they're going to qualify, so if they answer no to all of the health questions, they'll most likely qualify for benefit as long as everything matches up. If they answer yes to any of the application questions in part 2, they would be eligible for graded. And if they answer yes to any application in part 1, they would not be eligible for that coverage. So it really helps you going through those questions to allow you to know if you need to pivot and shift to a different product or a different carrier. But final eligibility underwriting requirements are similar: MIB, pharmaceutical check, the med data check, and phone interviews as needed. So final expense, IUL, those are kind of our biggest products. And because they're our biggest products, we knew that we needed to, update our application process to align with some of these other carriers that have this prequal. So as of July 24th, our Term Life Express, our IUL Express, and our Living Promise all have a built-in prequal into the application process. So what that kind of looks like is you're going to get your information, you're going to get your clients, just the basic information. They're going to sign the HIPAA auth right there. And at that point, we're going to run the med data and the prescription check. Now, after that, you're going to get a box. So for IUL Express and our Term Life Express, you'll either get favorable or not favorable. So red and green. Now, you can still continue forward if you get that red box, but I will just tell you, from my experience so far, red is dead. If they are getting a hit on their med data or their RX, it will be declined, but we still have to give you the option to move forward. If you continue forward with a non-favorable and you continue it forward, it's going to impact your placement. But if you get a not favorable and you decide to back out of the application at that point, there is no negative impact to your client. There is nothing that is sent to underwriting, and it doesn't impact your placement. So that's a huge win within itself, because placement is a big reason why people don't hit our 4 quarters club, which I can talk about here in a little bit. So that's for our IUL Express and our Term Life Express. And then there's an additional one for the Living Promise that will let you know if they're favorable trending to the graded product. So this is a huge game changer for Mutual of Omaha to really to have that prequal. Now, let me preface, it's not 100% accurate. They still, after the prequal, they still have to answer the health questions. We still have to run the MIB and things like in the motor vehicle check. So it's not 100% accurate, but it is a fairly good indicator. But you still have to do your due diligence when it comes to your field underwriting. So if you get the favorable, lock data, continue to application. If you get an unfavorable and you want to back out at that point, go ahead and click Do Not Continue Application. When you click Do Not Continue Application, it will remove this from your queue, because what I found is that people will get a not favorable and they'll just exit out of this and they'll go start another one, and it's clogging up their iPipeline. So if you click on the Do Not Continue Application, it just kind of wipes it, and it's kind of like poof, it didn't exist, which, while it can be a little bit frustrating to not know the reason that maybe that they were trending not favorable, we felt that it was better to have it that way than there be a hit on someone's MIB or their med data, or be a hit on your placement. So again, favorable. Those are kind of the things that you should need to know. The pre-approval indicator is not a guarantee of coverage. Changes can be made to the information capture prior to the pre-approval screen until you select lock data and continue application. If you select Do Not Continue Application, it doesn't count against your placement. There's no adverse action. Underwriting will not be able to see anything if you have any questions. So that's kind of what I have for kind of formal. Let me stop sharing my screen. Now, I want to say, why is it so important that that doesn't impact your placement? Does anybody know that Mutual of Omaha offers a quarterly bonus? So we run a bonus. Ooh, see, that's good. So we offer, it's called our 4 quarters club bonus. You can actually track your progress towards it in the sales professional access tab. But basically we run a quarter. It starts on first quarter is January, February, March, and so on and so forth. So it aligns with the year. And you have to do 25,000 in a quarter of simplified issued business. So that'll be the IUL Express, Living Promise, Children's Whole Life, Accidental Death, Critical Illness, Final Expense, if I didn't say it. Any of those products will count, and it's basically per point. So for every dollar of annual premium, so AMBP is going to be 1 point towards hitting that bonus. So once you have 25,000 in production, 25,000 and then placement and persistency. So that's why I said this is a game changer for placement, because you have to have a 70% placement rate or higher. So hopefully, if you don't have a 70% or higher placement rate, this will be a huge resource to you to help boost it. Let me just tell you, Family First Life as a whole, we've seen a huge increase by like 10% increase in placement rates across the distribution because of the prequal. So it is working, which is fantastic. And it's only been out a little over a month. And then it's based off of your persistency. So depending on how long you've been writing, we'll go either off your 4-month, your 7-month, or your 13-month persistency. 4-month persistency, 90 or better. 7-month persistency, 80% or better, or 13-month persistency, 70 or better. So if you hit your placement and persistency metrics, 25,000, you will get a 10% bonus. There's no cap to that. So if you write 50,000 in production in a quarter and you hit all the other metrics, you're going to get an extra 5,000 at the end of the quarter. And it resets every quarter. So say you don't hit it in the first quarter, you know, April 1st through the end of June, that's a new period to hit 25,000 in production. Very similar to other carriers that they have out there, their different bonuses. But that's a huge thing, and why I'm so excited about this prequal being built into our application, because it really was with all of you in mind to really help you guys succeed, make sure that your clients are taken care of, and allow you to pivot and shift. Because how many times have you maybe submitted an application with Mutual of Omaha? It took so long to get through the application, they were declined, and then your client's like, I don't have time for this anymore. Like, call me later, and then you can't get a hold of them. So this allows you to be able to get through the pre-approval process, you know, in like 5 to 10 minutes, and it'll allow you to pivot and shift if you need to. Because at the end of the day, while we'd love for you to always sell Mutual of Omaha, we know that it's not the right fit for everyone. And we wanted you to have that time back if we weren't a right fit, for you to pivot and shift to a carrier that it was. Otherwise, that's kind of all I have, guys. Do you have any questions for me? It's a lot of information all at once.
Absolutely. I do have one question.
Okay.
So I seen something recently that Mutual of Omaha has a guaranteed issue product. Now, though we don't have that accessible with Family First Life, is that something that you guys have been talking over? Because we use, of course, we have other carriers for guaranteed issue, but like I mentioned early on, I like using Mutual of Omaha because of the simplicity. So I just wanted to see if that was something that may be coming, and if so, that would be an option for us to compare what we're currently using.
Look at you putting me on the spot. Well, I know that there's been discussions about it. I don't know how far that discussion has gone, but there has been discussions of, with, how do we get all lines, because we've got brokerage, we've got the direct to consumer, we have our captive agency. So there's multiple, and there are things that, brokerage have that captive agents don't have. And there are things that we have that, direct to consumer. So there has been talks, on our upper leadership, that the potential of like, how do we streamline things so everybody can have everything? Now, I can't give you a timeline. I can't tell you yes or no, but I know that it has been discussed, and you are not the first person to ask for it. Is that a politically correct enough answer? And guys, yeah,
Absolutely, it was. Thank you.
yes, and if you have, I'm going to put my email in the chat. So if anybody has any questions later, feel free to reach out to me as a resource. Oh, I don't know. Will it let
I
me
do
get it?
have one more question, just in case somebody has it on their mind and they don't feel comfortable to ask. So I see inside of the portal a lot when I'm quoting and I'm talking to clients, the health options. Could you share a little bit about that? Because I know you mentioned if individuals had their health license that we were utilizing health products. The only health item I've used with that with Mutual of Omaha is the standalone accidental.
Okay.
But I do see that there are options for like dental and vision and things like that. I don't know how that really works. So
Those, and that's not my specialty. I could get you in contact with that. Because that's more on like our supplement medical care kind of team. They handle the dental, so I can get you in contact with them. But our accidental death on life side and what I support, we have the accidental death, but we also have our critical illness policy. And let me tell you, it is booming. It is one of our fastest growing products. I mean, and frankly, a lot of the growth has come because of Family First Life. So it is kind of a portfolio made out of three different types, three different critical illness policies. So you could have a critical illness policy that covers everything: heart attack, stroke, Alzheimer's, dementia, um, a whole slew of different ones. Or say you got someone who maybe had cancer previously, but has concern, like they can get a heart attack and stroke policy, or they can get a cancer policy. So there's a critical illness policy that covers everything, or we've got a standalone cancer policy and a standalone heart attack stroke. It's simplified issue, yes or no knockout questions. It's fairly cheap. You can do a term critical illness, you can do lifetime, and you can do individual, and you can do family. And the great thing about this product, because I mean, I always start kind of conversation with is who has had a family member or someone that close to you that's been impacted by cancer or heart attack or stroke. I think most people can raise their hand. I'm seeing firsthand, unfortunately, my was diagnosed with cancer, and I'm seeing how hard it is for him, the significant cost. Just Google the average cost of a round of chemo treatment or cancer treatment in your local area, and you'd be astounded. And the great thing about this product is, say you get diagnosed with cancer, all you need to do is your doctor needs to send in a note that says, yep, Heather was diagnosed with X cancer on this date, and then we're going to send you a lump sum. You don't have to justify what you're spending it on. Heck, you want to take a final trip to the Bahamas, or who go to Fiji, go wherever you want. Nobody's going to ask you. You could use it to supplement the cost of insurance. A lot of us have high deductible insurance, so you've got to pay for that, or out of pocket costs, or maybe your significant other is going to have to take time off work to help be your caretaker. You can use it for whatever you want, and I can send over more information. It's a product I'm super passionate about, because we've all seen the impact one way or another, been touched by someone in our life that have experienced that. And I never want to leave a stone unturned when it comes to like, hey, I could have protected them against that had I just said, hey, like, I've got this product that would be really impactful. So yes, I can definitely I'll send everything over to Josh, and Josh, you can distribute across the team, but I'll send some more information on it. We also offer long-term care as well on the health side. And if that's something you're interested in, we can talk more too on that. Long-term care is like a presentation all on its own, because
absolutely.
of everything. But also, if long-term, you like the idea of long-term care on our fully underwritten side, you can add a long-term care writer as well.
Absolutely. I appreciate that because I have come across those products. I have not used them just for the lack of understanding on what they offer.
Mm-hmm.
But I would definitely love to get more information on the critical illness policy and the long-term care policies because we want to be able to utilize this carrier for everything. Because I always tell individuals, agents, and clients that Mutual of Omaha has a very vast product portfolio. But me as an individual, I haven't utilized them all. So the more information I know, I'll be able to, kind of position people a little better Because of course we do advanced market, we do IULs, we do a lot of different things. I love the IULE for simplified reasons, and then of course I have other carriers for larger cases. But understanding how these other products work for me, people that may not qualify for um, a different type of structure, they may be able to fit inside of the mutual guidelines. So I would
Yep.
definitely want to know more about that. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And Benita, I'll get with Josh and look at we'll look at contracting and see what we need to do to get you guys all up and running. If that's something you want to do, we can work with FFL's contracting to get things up and running for you guys. Because I think it's a very powerful product. It's a nice ad. I don't, a nice supplement. My goal is like Mutual of Omaha literally like could be your one-stop shop for any kind of coverage that your client could need. If they have a health need, a life need, long-term care, whatever it is. And well, it's not always good, again, having different carriers is fantastic, but when you can offer, hey, Mutual of Omaha has these different products, we can put this plan together in it's your one-stop shop. It's an incredible thing to offer. And there's not too many carriers out there like Mutual of Omaha that offer kind of that.
Right. I'll add something to that because we're brokers and we have multiple carriers. You have some individuals, you have some carriers that only focus on a certain set of products, maybe two or three, four products in their line. But when you look at mutuals, I mean, you guys pretty much cover everything, literally virtually everything. It's just again the information we need more of, so that way we can utilize it more to our advantage.
Yes, and I'm gonna pop one more link into the chat. Give me a second to get the link pulled up. So my partner Dylan and I, we put together, we call it our agent accelerator platform. So it's through a platform called Lego. And it has all of our contact information, all of the contacts I kind of talked about earlier tonight. And then it breaks down all of our big products. So I don't think long-term care is in there, but IUL Express, Term Life Express, critical illness, accidental death. I've got videos on it that are real quick, short, because I don't know about you, but sometimes like 5-10 minutes is all my brain has to, all the brain power I have after being on phones all day. So I really wanted to make it easy and accessible for you guys. So I'm going to put that in the chat too. And that's you don't need a special login or anything like that, but we built this for you guys so you had all of that information at your fingertips. So it can also be another place, or if you can't get a hold of someone, okay, let me check out this website. Is there anything listed here that would give me the answer that I need? And then anything big that kind of comes up, we'll post updates on here as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, with that, I think that we definitely got our time's worth with the information. I want to say thank you again for taking the time out to get on here and pour into us and kind of, share your experience and your knowledge with us. And we will definitely be having more conversations
Yes.
very soon.
Yes, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm here to be a resource to you guys, help you guys grow. Because I got into this industry to help people. And so while I'm not necessarily meeting with clients anymore, helping all of you guys grow and be successful, that just fills my cup. So thank you so much for having me. And I'll get some more information over to you, Josh, so you can kind of spread it to your team, and hopefully we'll see all of your sales grow, and hopefully we'll get you all more bonuses here. That's the goal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You have a phenomenal evening and thanks
You too.
again for your
Thank
time.
you. Bye, guys.